A couple more editing controls which are not displayed in the main tools bar up here. Now I suppose I'll just go to the edit menu to show you those. You will, I mean, there's obvious things that we've looked at already, like just moving things around. You can also cut things by using trim, the trim tool. So if I press Alt, remember that the trim tool inverts in terms of the way it's facing, and I can trim off a bit like that. And I can also again retrieve elements, parts of the file by clicking on an edge and dragging it out. But for example, if I wanted to make a cut in the middle of the region, a bit like using a scissors tool in Logic or Nuendo or Cubase. ProTools doesn't have an explicit tool up here for doing that, but if you click on the Select tool, click in the middle of, or wherever it is that you want to make that splice, which is essentially what you're doing, then go to Edit, then you can go to Separate Region at Selection, and obviously there's a key command there too, so you can do that. So basically, if I do Command E, then that applies each time. So that's very, very simple to do. Similarly, if you wanted to make a selection, I'll undo all of those so we're not confusing the issue. But if I make a selection and press Command E, then it divides at those points too. One thing I haven't pointed out is that every time you make an alteration to your region, then a new region is created here. So your original sound file is I suppose your Uber region, and that appears in sort of in bold and black. So that you will know is your original file. But anything you make subsequent to that, so however you kind of chop up the sound or splice it or whatever, then you will see an unemboldened version of it plus a number. You can change the name of that should you wish to, but I imagine probably you won't want to bother. And of course, once you've done that, you can handle those regions however you want. You can, drag in other versions of that region as well. So that's that. There are other sort of splicing or trimming commands in the edit menu as well. Having made a splice in the middle of a region, if you want to heal that, and in this case I'm going to make the selection that is the area that I want to heal up. Go to the edit menu again, and actually it doesn't allow me to, sorry, I'll have to choose all 3 bits over the splices that I've made, go to edit and then heal separation, and it will heal it. Obviously that will only happen where 2 contiguous edges are there, so you've made a splice and you just want to heal that again. You can't do it with 2 splices if you've moved the original file or whatever. You can trim as well, as I say. You can again make a selection, and then if you want to only have this part of it available or visible, then you can go to edit and trim the region. It says to selection, or you can trim it to either end, but most of the time I suspect you'll want to do it to the selection, so that's Command T. Again, I'll undo that for the minute. And then the usual kind of commands, editing commands apply. So edit, you can cut bit out, so if I do that I just remove it, undo. I can copy it, and then I could place it at say 20 seconds and paste it in, so paste that on and so on. And clear operates basically in the same way as cut, except that you can't then paste it several times again. Duplicate and repeat you might want to use if you are working with beats and you want to, or a loop for example. I'll get rid of that for a minute. So if I move that to the start and I want to, so obviously this is not a segment that I would want to loop in normal practice, but I'm just demonstrating it. But I'll just trim it up just a little bit so we actually get to the start of the beat. So I'll have a 4-second-ish loop. Bring that to the start. If I go to Edit and Duplicate, then it will just duplicate that and stick it on the end, so that we just have a looping fragment that continues. And obviously I can repeat that. So if I press the quick key, which is Command D, it will just add those on. So that's fairly straightforward. An alternative, if you know how many versions of it you want, is to go to Edit and Repeat, and it will ask you how many repeats you want, and you can say 10 or however many, and it will make them for you. Shift, I suspect, probably enables you to shift a region by a certain amount. I confess I haven't tried that. There you go. So that will enable you to shift it by a specified amount. Here, it's a bit like using Spot actually in the editing modes up here. Insert silence will insert a silence into the file for you, and snap to will presumably be based on the grid. Let's try it next. Ooh, where's that gone? Ah, it snapped it to the next region, so it's essentially operated like shuffle. But again, I'm not quite sure of the circumstances in which you'd use that. Okay, well that's largely, I think, the ones that I want to show you in the edit menu. There's a couple more things in there, but I'm going to leave those for now. I'll certainly show you fades perhaps in a future tutorial, because that's very important to know.